Hello, everyone. I'm Kamraun.
And I'm Billy. Welcome to the HorseFrog Podcast, home of your two favorite professional digressors.
Today, we will be discussing Book 4, Chapter 25 of Memories of Ice, a novel in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. This is Part 7, and the final part of our coverage of this chapter. We will also cover the Epilogue during this episode.
Now, this podcast series is intended to be a companion to reading or listening to the books set in the Malazan universe. It's not a book review, and it's most definitely not a replacement to reading the books. Kamraun and I know that this series is the best fantasy story ever written, and we're approaching this from a purely, right? Boy, that throws you for a loop, doesn't it? Both. Oh, wow. Wow, you do good by keeping going, brother. So sorry I wasn't prepared for that one. Oh, wow. I'll do that. I'll start that again. So both Kamraun and I know that this series is the best fantasy story ever written, and we're approaching this from a purely fanboy point of view, and that we'll be providing no literary critique. At least not about this series.
We'll be covering the events of the books in a linear fashion. There will be spoilers for those that have not read the books. We'll try not to spoil anything prior to us covering that portion of the respective book.
A quick warning. Today's episode contains descriptions of adult topics and is thus not suitable for children.
Our show is listener-supported. If you'd like to support us, we'd really appreciate it. You can do so by visiting our Patreon link on our website at HorseFrogProductions.com. Currently, we're posting ad-free episodes on Patreon weekly.
Also, we'd really like to hear from you, and we really do mean that, so send any feedback or comments that you have to contact@HorseFrogProductions.com.
All right, Chapter 25, Part 7. The carriage of bone clattered its way down the Trader Road, Reese flicking the traces across the broad, midnight backs of the oxen. Gruntle, halfway across the road, stopped. Waited. The manservant scowled, reluctantly halted the carriage. He thumped one fist on the wall behind him, the reptilian skin reverberating like a war drum. A door opened and Bacalain climbed out, followed by Korbal Broach. It is so funny that we didn't remember these guys being in the book after the Siege of Kapustan, yet they keep appearing, and you know we're in for a good time every single time they show up.
Oh, I know. I could have sworn the last time we saw these guys was going to be the last time we saw these guys. And this is, what, twice now that I think we've said that?
2 to 3 times, at least. Yes.
You know it's going to be funny.
Bacalain strode to stand opposite Gruntle, but his flat gray eyes were focused on the dark city beyond. He breathed, extraordinary. This is a place I could call home. Gruntle's laugh was harsh. He said, "You think so? There are Tistandi there now. More, it is now part of the Malazan Empire. Do you believe that either will tolerate your friend's hobbies?" From beside the carriage, Korbal Broach whined, "He's right. I won't have any fun there." Bacalain smiled and said, but Korbal, think of all the fresh corpses, and look to this field below. Kachain Shamal already conveniently dismembered. Manageable portions, if you will. Enough material, dear colleague, to build an entire estate. Gruntle watched Korbal Broach suddenly smile. He thought, gods, spare me the sight of that. Never again, please. Imagine what that estate would look like.
Oh, part of this, I have flashbacks to XCOM 2 and Terror from the Deep. It was an underwater one. And some of those walls had some very distinctly fleshy. I'm not sure what the correct term is, but there's some unsettling imagery in that one for me. There's something else that just came to mind as we were talking about this. It's more akin to, when I think of this, I think of some hellish image from a John Constantine Hellblazer going to in hell.
Yes.
Actually in hell.
That's exactly where I'm going with this. It feels like a gothic wood cutting. Those old images you see of like a conquistador going through hell or something like that, where you'd have a castle made of bones or something.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly right. I'm glad we had that same vibe on that. Okay?
Yes.
So it is very hellish vibes that these guys give off.
Yes. I mean, there are necromancers, so dealing with death, it makes sense.
It does.
Bacalain said, "Now, barbed captain, kindly remove yourself from our path. But first, if you would be so kind, a question for you." Gruntle said, "What?" Bacalain said, "I have but recently received a note, terrible penmanship, and worse, written on bark. It would seem that a certain Jib Bowl and his brothers wish to pay me a visit. Are you by any chance knowledgeable of these good sirs? If so, perhaps some advice on the proper etiquette of hosting them." Gruntle smiled and said, "Wear your best, Bacalain." Bacalain said, "Ah, thank you, Captain. And now, if you would..." With a wave, Gruntle resumed crossing the road. I wonder if they ever meet up. I would love to see that encounter.
Oh, agreed. That would be so good. And what's funny is because these necromancers are pretty tough fellas, and they seem to be able to survive some stuff. But from what little we've seen of either one of them, the Bulls are also some pretty tough fellas, especially when the people like the Malazans are talking about how these guys, how tough they are. It's like, okay, wow, you guys might not survive that encounter. They get bruised up at least.
20 brothers.
Yeah, and the sister.
And the sister. The Grey Swords had established a temporary encampment 50 paces east of the massive, glittering barrow that had already acquired the name of Ikovian's gift. Ragged bands of Teniscauri, emaciated and sickly, had emerged from black coral and from the woodlands, and were all congregating around the camp. Word of Anastar's rebirth had spread, and with it the promise of salvation. Gruntle thought, recruitment. Those Teniscauri could never go back to what they had once been. They, too, need to be reborn. The stranger within Anastar, this new mortal sword of Tog and Fandere, has much to do. Time had come for Gruntle to take the man's measure. He thought, he'll likely prove a better mortal sword than I am. Likely smug, sanctimonious up there on that damned ugly horse. I'm ready to hate the bastard, I admit it. Gruntle approached Anastar, who was guiding his horse through the decrepit camp of Teniscauri. Stick-limbed figures were reaching up on all sides, touching him, his horse. Trailing a half-dozen paces behind walked the Destriant, and Gruntle could feel healing sorcery swirling out from her. The embrace of the wolf's reeve had begun. I find it interesting that there is no infection from the crippled god impacting her use of the new warren.
That is very intriguing, especially after all the trouble we've had with the poisoned warrens. Was the seer directly responsible for poisoning some of the warrens in this area?
This is the first time I've heard of warrens being used since the seer was redeemed, if you will, or, taken down to Burns' warren. I don't know if them taking the seer out prevented the conduit of the crippled god corrupting all these warrens. I guess we'll have to wait and see, timeline-wise, how everybody else is responding to this event to know more.
Yeah, because Quick Bim, all we know that like that's a small feat, has managed to slow the infection. So that's all that's really said about it, isn't it?
That's a good point. That's what's fixing it, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe the Omtos Falak being there has done enough to where it kind of insulates them for a little bit from it spreading any further.
Okay, we'll just call it that then.
Also, this scene with Tok Anastar riding through the refugees and them touching him brings forth images of the Fremen and Muad'Dib.
Muad'Dib. Lisan Adlib. Sorry. I meant to send you. I have a picture. I have a meme of a cat laying on a bed of catnip, and it's talking about the spice being opening your senses. I'm gonna send that to you because I forgot to send that to you. Thank you for reminding me. I'll get it.
You know that's what's going on with cats, probably.
Oh,
the
dude,
space-time continuum is becoming visible to them as they trip out on this catnip.
Well, the look on the cat's eyes says it all. You've seen that look, that eyes are peeled back and wide, but they see everything and nothing all at the same time. It's like...
Either it was a comic or a video game. I saw a cartoon. It showed what a cat sees when they have greebles, when they're looking around all randomly in different parts of the walls. And it was portals opening up in the wall, in the ceiling, in the floor, and these demonic, mutated cats were coming out of them. And the cat's just sitting in the room looking at him. It's hilarious.
Oh, I'm curious. It might be what they say.
Oh, I hope not, because...
Oh, my word. No, poor guys.
That's a little too close to Constantine for my taste.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anastar finally rode clear of the camp. His lone eye noted Gruntle, and the man reined in, waited for the Daru. He spoke before Gruntle had a chance to do the same. He said, "You're Gruntle, Trake's mortal sword. The Destriant has told me about you. I'm glad you've come." Anastar glanced back at the Teniscauri, who hung back within their encampment, as if its edge was some kind of invisible, impassable barrier. Then the young man dismounted and said, "The shield anvil insisted I remain visible." He grunted, wincing as he stretched his legs. He went on, "Much more of this, and I'll start walking like a Wiccan." Gruntle rumbled, "You said you're glad that I've come. Why?" Anastar said, "Well, you're a mortal sword, right? They're calling me one, too. I guess, what does that mean, anyway?" Gruntle asked. You don't know? Anastor said, No, do you? Gruntle said nothing for a long moment. Then he grinned and said, Not really. The tension left Anastor in a heartfelt sigh. He stepped close and said, Listen, before I arrived in this body, I was a scout in the Malazan army. And as far as I was concerned, temples were where poor people paid to keep the priests' wine cellars well stocked. I don't want followers. That destriant back there, the shield anvil, gods, what a hard woman. They're piling expectations on me. I'm feeling like that man at Kovian is feeling right now. Not that he's feeling anything, I suppose. Hood, just mentioning his name breaks my heart, and I never even knew him. Gruntle said, I did, Anastor. Relax, lad, about everything. Did you think I asked to be Trake's mortal sword? I was a caravan guard, and a miserable one, and I was happy with it. Anastor cut in, You were happy being miserable? Gruntle said, Damned right I was. Anastor suddenly smiled. He said, I stumbled on a small cask of ale. It's back in the camp of the Grey Swords. We should go for a walk, Gruntle. Gruntle said, Under the trees, aye. I'll find Stani, a friend. You'll like her, I think. Anastor said, A woman? I like her already. I'll get the ale. Meet you back here. Gruntle said, A sound plan, Anastor. Oh, and don't tell the destriant or the shield anvil. Anastor said, I won't, even if they torture me. His voice fell away, and Gruntle saw the young man grow paler than usual. Then he shook his head and said, See you soon, friend. Gruntle said, Aye. He thought, Friend. Yes, I think so. He watched Anastor swing back onto the horse. The man he had been knew how to ride. Gruntle thought, No, not the man he had been, the man he is. Gruntle watched him riding away for a moment longer, then turned back to find Stani. Talk is another person that, like at Kovian, people can't help but befriend him. He's such a great guy.
Yeah, he's so chill. He's such a great guy. And what's funny, through these 3 books, with number 2, he wasn't in Deadhouse at all, but he's barely in Guards of the Moon, and he's used so sparingly. We see so little of him, but yet we have such a big love for this guy because he's just treated so shabbily. These 2 books. He's like the cosmic whipping boy, and I feel so bad for him.
Everybody that came across him befriended him. And everybody, every time his name is mentioned, they liked him, it seems like.
Dude, he made friends with an IMAS.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude.
I can't think of anybody else in the book that has befriended or had that level of rapport with as many people as he has.
Yeah. Pure 18 charisma. Straight 18. Can't fail unless he throws a 1. He's got to throw a 1.
People revere Whiskey Jack, and he's a likable guy too, but something about Talk, it just feels like there's a fondness for him. It feels like they're in awe of Whiskey Jack almost, you know? But with Talk, it's like he's actually down at our level, like you could be friends with him, whereas Whiskey Jack, he was always a little bit elevated.
Yeah. You can hang with Whiskey Jack, but there's always too much awe. I think you're right, because he's saved their butts so many times. I mean, you just look at him and just like, dude. But yeah, Talk is one of the guys, but he's one of the guys you love. He's the Ferris Bueller. Littlest Ferris Bueller.
Who's the Cam?
Oh. Could that be raced?
Who else is moping around all the time?
Yeah, that's the only one I've got right now. Oh, wait. There's somebody else that mopes. Am I mistaken? I may be thinking of something different. I may be mistaking something. Okay, that's the only one I've got so far. That's the only one that I can think that mopes.
What comes to mind is those undead people that Grillin had.
That's who I was thinking about. I was thinking of those guys, but I was like, I can't. I just couldn't put my finger on it for the moment. There we go. That's it.
Yeah.
But those guys have a right to mope, man. Come on, they've earned.
Yes, yeah, it's a little bit of a different situation.
Their deaths were horrible. Their deaths were horrible, man.
Elsewhere, steam or smoke still drifted from the 4 Trigal Trade Guild carriages waiting at the base of the hill. Quickben had gone ahead to speak with the train's master, an opulently dressed, overweight man whose bone-deep exhaustion was discernible from 50 paces away. Perrin, waiting with the bridge burners for Dujek on the crest of the hill, watched Quickben and the Trigal mage engaging in a lengthy conversation, the result of which seemed to have Quickben bemused. The Daru, Krupp, then joined them, and the discussion resumed once more, heatedly. Standing beside Perrin, Picker asked, "What's all that about?" Perrin shook his head and said, "I have no idea, Lieutenant." Picker said, "Sir." Something in her tone brought him round. He asked, "Yes?" She said, "You shouldn't have left me in command. I messed it up Bad, sir. He saw the raw pain in her eyes, continued to meet them despite a sudden desire to look away. He said, Not you, Lieutenant. The command was mine, after all. I abandoned all of you. She shook her head and said, Quicks told us what you two did, Captain. You went where you had to, sir. It was well played. It seemed to us that there was no victory to be found in any of this, but now we know that's not true, and that means more than you might realize. Perrin said, Lieutenant, you walked out of that keep with survivors. No one could have done better. A new voice growled, I agree. Dujak's appearance shocked both soldiers to silence. The man seemed to have aged 10 years in the span of a single day and night. He was bent, the hand of his lone arm trembling. He said, Lieutenant, call the bridge burners over. I will speak to you all. Picker turned and gestured the 5 soldiers closer. Only 5 left.
Wow.
It seems to hit harder when you say the number like that. We knew so many had died, but only 5 left? Last week you had asked if this is the end of the bridge burners. Seeing how few are left kind of answers that question, doesn't it?
It does, because I'm like you, for some reason, I didn't know it was down to single digits. I thought we had like 20 or 30 or maybe, maybe close to 100 possibly left, but I'm like, 5. Yeah, I think this is the end of the bridge burners, man.
Yeah. And even if you count Fiddler and Kalam, that's still only 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shocked me a little bit.
I'm very shocked by that number, yeah. Well, what's funny is like it's almost like we don't count Kalam and Quick in the bridge burners, but it's like they're the reason the bridge burners exist.
Yeah, they're the reason they exist, and they were incorporated into them, and part of their legendary status is also them being in the bridge burners.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's kind of like there's some names that I feel that aren't, but it's like they've been elevated past the bridge burners into the, I guess these remaining are just being kind of, I'm just shocked. I'll just say, I'm just shocked it's 5.
Mm-hmm. Dujek grunted, then said, Good. Now, hear me. There's half a wagon of back pay being loaded onto one of those Trigal carriages below. Back pay for the company known as the Bridge Burners. Full complement. Enough to buy each of you an estate and a life of well-earned idyll. The Trigal will take you to Darujistan. I don't recommend you head back to the Empire. As far as Tashrin and Fist Aragan and I are concerned, not one bridge burner walked out of that keep. No, say not a single word, soldiers. Whiskey Jack wanted this for you. Hood, he wanted it for himself, too. Respect that. Besides, you've one more mission, and it takes you to Darujistan. The Trigal has delivered someone. He's presently in the care of the High Alchemist Baruch. The man's not well. He needs you, I think. Malazans, soldiers, do what you can for him when you're there. And when you decide that you can't do anything more, then walk away. That's interesting. Who could that possibly be?
I can't wait to see who it is. I'm real curious.
Yeah. Dujek paused, eyed them, then nodded and said, That's all, bridge burners. The Trigal are waiting for you. Captain, remain a moment. I would a private word with you. Oh, Picker, send High Mage Quick Ben up here, will you? Picker blinked. She asked, High Mage? Dujek grimaced and said, That bastard can't hide any longer. Tashrin's insisted. Picker said, Yes, sir. Well, it's about damn time.
Wow. High Mage, all right.
The fact that he hid this long is incredible.
Yes, it is. I'm impressed.
Perrin watched the small troop head down the hill. Dujek drew a palsied hand across his face, then turned away. He said, Walk with me, Perrin. Perrin did. He said, That was well done, sir. Dujek said, No, it wasn't, Ganoiz, but it was all I could do. I don't want the last of the bridge burners to die on some field of battle, or in some nameless city that's fighting hard to stay free. I'm taking what's left of my host to 7 cities, to reinforce Adjunct Tavora's retributive army. You are welcome. Perrin cut in, No, sir, I'd rather not. Dujek nodded as if he had expected that. He said, There's a dozen or so columns for you, near the carriages below. Go with your company, then, with my blessing. I'll have you counted among the casualties. Perrin said, Thank you, High Fist. I don't think I was ever cut out to be a soldier. Dujek said, Not another word of that, Captain. Think what you like about yourself, but we will continue seeing you as you are, a noble man. Perrin began to say, Noble? But Dujek cut him off. Not that kind of noble, Ganoiz. This is the kind that's earned, the only kind that means anything. Because, in this day and age, it's damned rare. Perrin said, Well, sir, there I'll respectfully disagree with you. If there's but one experience I will carry with me of my time in this campaign, High Fist, it is that of being humbled again and again by those around me. Dujek said, "Go join your fellow bridge burners," Ganoa's Perrin. Perrin said, "Yes, sir. Goodbye, High Fist." Dujek said, "Goodbye." As Perrin made his way down the slope, he stumbled momentarily, then righted himself. He thought, "My fellow bridge burners," he said. "Well, the achievement is short-lived, but even so, I made it." That has to mean a lot to him. After feeling imposter syndrome since Gardens of the Moon, to have earned membership into this storied unit is an incredible achievement and speaks volumes of his actions. I suspect this means more to him personally than being master of the deck.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this gets back to the very beginning of the books. The series starts with Perrin there with Dujek and Whiskey Jack, and he's a kid. He wants to be a soldier and is warned against it by Dujek and Whiskey Jack. So, but he at the same time, he did it anyhow. He feels that he's earned his place with these fellas, and yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. One small clarification, Dujek wasn't there with them. It was just Whiskey Jack, I think.
It's Whiskey Jack. Okay.
But either way, point taken. Ignoring the grim-faced soldiers on all sides, Tok, Anaster, reined in beside the small tent the Grey Swords had given him. He thought, I remember Anaster, and this may be his body, but that's all. He slipped from the saddle and entered it. He hunted until he found the cask, hid it within a leather sack, and slung that over his shoulder, then hurried back outside. As he drew himself into the saddle once more, a man stepped up to him. Tok frowned down at him. This was no Teniscari, nor a Grey Sword. If anything, he looked, from his faded, tattered leathers and furs, to be Barghast. Covered in scars, more scars of battle than Tok had ever seen on a single person before. Despite this, there was a comfort there in his face, a gentleman's face, no more than 20 years of age, the features pronounced, heavy-boned, framed in long black hair devoid of any fetishes or braids. His eyes were a soft brown as he looked up at Tok. Tok had never met this man before. He said, "Hello, is there something you wish?" impatient to be away. The man shook his head and said, "I only sought to look upon you, to see that you were well." Tok thought, he believes me to be an Aster, a friend of old perhaps, not one of his lieutenants, though I would have remembered this one. Well, I'll not disappoint him. He said, "Thank you, I am." The man said, "This pleases me," and smiled, reached up and laid a hand on Tok's leg. He said, "I will go now, brother. Know that I hold you in my memory." Still smiling, he turned and strode away, passing through the midst of curious Grey Swords, heading north towards the forest. Tok stared after him. He thought, something about that walk. First, I want to know how Tool's soul has returned to a living body.
Yeah, that would be nice to know how that just kind of happened to happen there.
Yeah, a little more detail would be nice.
Yes.
Second, I'm both happy with this, but also saddened. I wish that Tool would have told him who he was, and this would have made Tok happy, and he deserves it.
Yeah, I agree with that very wholeheartedly, but maybe he saw that Tok seemed to be happy. Maybe he thought he might be burdening him, but I'm like you, I want to see him know him.
Yeah, because they were close already.
Yes.
And so I think that friendship meant a lot to Tok, but you're right, Tool probably didn't want to disrupt him from what he's currently doing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bittersweet scene for me.
It is.
Someone said, "Mortal sword." The shield anvil was approaching. Tok gathered the reins and said, "Not now, later." He swung his horse round, then said, "All right, you wretched hag. Let's see how you gallop, shall we?" He drove his heels into the beast's flanks. I laughed at that because I thought, not today, shield anvil.
Yeah. You'll have to catch me later on that.
No homework right now. Tool's sister awaited him at the edge of the forest. Kilava asked, "You are done?" He said, "I am." They continued on under the trees. She said, "I have missed you, brother." He said, "And I you." She added, "You have no sword." He said, "Indeed, I have not. Do you think I will need one?" She leaned close to him and said, "Now more than before, I would think." He said, "Perhaps you are right. We must needs find a quarry." She said, "The Barghast Range, a flint the color of blood. I will invest it, of course, to prevent its shattering." He said, "As you did once before, sister." She said, "Long ago." He agreed, "Aye, so very long ago." Elsewhere, under the impassive gaze of the two brothers, Lady Envy relinquished the sorcery that kept Mok from returning to consciousness. She watched as the third slowly regained awareness. The eyes within the mask dulled with pain. She murmured, "There now, you have suffered of late, haven't you?" Mock struggled to sit upright, his gaze hardening upon finding his brothers. Lady Envy straightened and glanced over at Senu and Thurul with an appraising eye. After a moment, she sighed. She said, "Indeed, they are a sight. They suffered in your absence, Third. Then again," she noted brightly, "you've not fared much better. I must inform you, Mock, that your mask is cracked." The Segula reached up, probed tentatively, then following the hairline fissure running 2/3 of the length on the left side. Lady Envy continued, "In fact, I reluctantly admit none of our facades has survived, unfractured. If you can imagine it, Animander Rake, the 7th, has unceremoniously banished us from the city." Oh, she is stirring the pot. She didn't have to call him the 7th.
No, but I love how she said her audience. She does bend it for her audience, doesn't she?
Just has to wheedle them a little bit,
Oh, yeah. Stick it in there. Man, that's mean. She likes to just rub that old salt in there anytime she gets a chance.
Oh, totally unnecessary.
I think she's aptly named.
Yes. Mock climbed unsteadily to his feet, looked around. Lady Envy said, "Yes, we find ourselves in the very same forest we spent days trudging through. Your punitive exercise is concluded, perhaps satisfactorily, perhaps not. The Panyan Daemon is no more, alas. Time's come, my 3 grim servants, to begin the journey home." Mock examined his weapons, then faced her and said, "No, we shall demand an audience with the 7th. She interrupted, "Oh, you foolish man! He'll not see you. Worse, you'll have to carve your way through a few hundred Tistandi to get him, and no, they won't cross blades with you. They will simply annihilate you with sorcery. They're a perfunctory people, the children of Mother Dark. Now, I have decided to escort the 3 of you home. Isn't that generous of me?" Mock regarded her, the silence stretching. Lady Envy offered him a sweet smile.
That's what you get for dropping that 7th little needle in there, girl.
Yes. You reap what you sow.
That's right, dude.
On their long journey north, the white-faced Barghast broke up into clans, then family bands, ranging far and wide as was their wont. Hitan walked with Kafal, lagging behind their father and his closest followers and angling some distance eastward. The sun was warm on their heads and shoulders, the air fresh with the gentle surf brushing the shore 200 paces to their right. It was midday when she and her brother spotted the 2 travelers ahead. Close kin, Hitan judged, as they drew nearer. Neither one particularly tall, but robust, both black-haired, walking very slowly side by side closer to the coastline. They looked to be Barghast, but of a tribe or clan unknown to either Hitan or Kafal. A short while later, they came alongside the 2 strangers. Hitan's eyes focused on the man, studied the extraordinary scars crisscrossing his flesh. She called out, "We greet you, strangers!" Both turned, clearly surprised that they had company. Hitan now looked upon the man's face. That the woman beside him was his sister could be no more obvious. She thought, "Good," then called to the man, "You! What is your name?" The man's smile made her heart catch. He said, "Onos Tulan." Hitan strode closer, offering a wink to the dark-haired woman, then settling her eyes once more on the man called Onos Tulan. In a low voice, she said, "I see more than you imagine." The young warrior cocked his head and asked, "You do?" Hitan said, "Aye, and what I see tells me you've not betted a woman in a long time." The man's eyes widened. She thought, "Oh, such lovely eyes. A lover's eyes." His smile broadened, and he said, "Indeed." She thought, "Oh yes, my lover's eyes." And thus the chapter ends. Tool is probably going to jump at the opportunity after 300,000 years of celibacy.
Yeah, right? I really enjoyed seeing him find possibly a companion after 300,000 years there. Hitan was very moved by how pretty he was. It was funny how she looked at him. She's really into him. She's into him big time.
Separately, I do wonder at the situation with her being pregnant and Krupp not being there with her and Kafal. Signs pointed to him being the father. I wonder if there was even a conversation with Krupp about it.
I think we covered this earlier in the books. Remember when Trots and Baron and the Bridge Burners take Trots to go meet the Barghast, and it seemed like there was a lot of those, a lot of the fellows were running off and hooking up with the Barghast gals. And I think that we talked about this. I think we speculated about this is probably how groups like this that It's probably how they get new blood in
Yeah.
into the clans.
Okay, interesting. Can you imagine trying to get child support from Krupp? Or serving him some type of
summons? The summons?
Yeah,
the
if you're trying to serve him a summons or something. Oh my God.
gosh.
I got a picture of that earlier, just thinking about trying to get Krupp into child support court.
Oh, that was too funny. Oh, my word. Because it would take you 50 years to track him down.
Yeah, imagine the conversation with the judge, too.
Yes.
It feels like there's a whole comedy scene that is possible there.
There's a whole book. There's a whole book written there, if handled correctly by Mr. Erikson. It would be just riotously funny, involving Krupp and trying to avoid the payments. Krupp in the case of the missing child support payments.
All right, we begin the epilogue. Perrin shoved the door open. Shouldering his heavy, gold-filled pack, he stepped into the antechamber beyond and called out, "Raced! Where are you?" The armor-clad Jagut emerged from somewhere to halt before Perrin, but said nothing. Perrin muttered, "That's right. I've decided to take up residence here." Raced's voice was a cold rasp. He said, "You have." Perrin said, "Aye. 3 weeks in that damned inn was enough, believe me. So here I am, courage worked up, ready to settle into the dreaded, infamous Finnest house, and I see your skills as housekeeper leave much to be desired." Raced asked, "These 2 bodies on the threshold, what will you do with them?" Quick reminder, those bodies are Vorkan and Ralik Nam. Perrin shrugged and said, "I haven't decided yet. Something, I suppose. But for now, I want to drop this gold off, so I can sleep easy for a change. They're opening the place up tonight, you know." Raced replied, "No, Master of the Deck, I do not." Perrin said, "Never mind. I said I'd go. Hood knows, I doubt anybody else in the city will, except maybe Krupp, Colin Murillo." Raced asked, "Go where, Master of the Deck?" Perrin said, "Ganoa's, please." Or Perrin, "Where, you ask? Picker's New Tavern, that's where." Race said, "I know nothing of..." Perrin cut in, "I know you don't, that's why I'm telling." Race finished, "Nor do I care. Ganoa's Perrin, Master of the Deck." Another character who doesn't mince words.
Just being undead strips you of that necessity.
Perrin said, "Well, you're lost, Raced. As I was saying, Picker's New Tavern. Her and her partners, that is. They've spent half their pay on this insane project." Raced asked, "Insane?" Perrin said, "Yes. You don't know the meaning of insane?" Raced said, "I know it all too well, Ganoa's Perrin, Master of the Deck." Perrin was brought up short by that. He studied the helmed face, seeing only shadows behind the visor's slots. A faint shiver ran through him, and he said, yes. In any case, they purchased the cruel temple, belfry and all, made it into a," Raced cut in, "a tavern." Perrin said, "A temple everyone in the city calls haunted." Raced turned away and said, "I imagine it came cheap, all things considered." Perrin stared after the armored Jagut, then called out, "See you later." Faintly came the reply, "If you insist." How do you think Raced feels about having company in this house?
You know what's the funny thing? I kind of keep forgetting. I keep forgetting that Raced is always in armor. I'm always kind of imagining, like, okay, no, he's kind of chilling around the house, like, because to me, he's become like Lurch from the Addams Family, but fully suited and armored. But he's always just kind of seems to be off put by everything going on. I can just see him shaking his head, just shaking his head in disgust. But we need, but I don't know why the armor thing. I just now thought about that. I'm like, oh, that's right, he is armored.
Yeah, that's weird because I always pictured him as being robed. So that's an interesting thing that I must have really glossed over when I was reading through.
Yeah.
Separately, have the bridge burners lost their minds buying that belfry? Locals won't go there due to superstition.
Yeah, that's real curious. Maybe these guys want to own a bar just so they can not feel guilty about owning a bar, so they can just be drunks the rest of their lives. And they just got a bar that no one wants to go to but them. It's the Tavern from Sunny.
Oh, okay.
The only people that drink
Always
there
Sunny
are
in
the
Philadelphia?
owners. Yes, yeah. The only people that drink there are the owners.
Emerging from the battered gateway onto the street, Perrin almost stumbled over a decrepit, hooded figure sitting awkwardly on the edge of the gutter. A grimy hand lifted from the rags towards the Malazan. The figure said, "Kind sir, a coin please, a single coin." Perrin said, "Luckily for you, I can spare more than one, old man," and reached for the leather purse tucked into his belt. He drew out a handful of silvers. The beggar grunted, dragged himself closer, his legs trailing like dead weights. He said, "A man of wealth! Listen to me. I have need of a partner, generous sir. I have gold, counsels, hidden in a cache on the slopes of the Talon Hills. A fortune, sir. We must needs only mount an expedition. It's not far. Perrin dropped the coins into the old man's hands. He said, Buried treasure, friend? No doubt. The man said, Sir, the sum is vast, and I would gladly part with half of it. The repayment to your investment will be 10 times at the very least. Perrin smiled and said, I've no need for more riches. He stepped away from the beggar, then paused and added, By the way, you probably shouldn't linger over long at this particular gate. The house does not welcome strangers. The old man seemed to shrink in on himself. His head twisted to one side and muttered, No, not this house. Then he softly cackled and said, But I know one that does. Shrugging at the beggar's obscure words, Perrin turned once more and set off. Behind him, the beggar broke into a wretched cough. Is there any special significance of this scene to you, aside from bringing the craftsman that created Trake's Torques at the beginning of the book back in to close out that storyline?
Is it that, or is it a hint at the upcoming book?
I don't know. I mean, it does a little bit foreshadowing, I guess, with House of Chains, right?
Yeah, maybe it's hinting it that way. That's because I'm like you. It's like this scene could have actually just not even been there. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything, but I mean, it's just like, why is this here?
Well, I guess part of it is the guy survived. He couldn't carry that backpack full of coins by crawling, so he buried them somewhere.
Yeah.
And now he's legitimately trying to find somebody to bring him back. I guess the fact that he made it back alive is something. They were pretty far out there.
It is something. I'm impressed with that. So he was almost to Pale, dude. They were just right outside Pale.
I thought it was outside Darujistan.
Oh, was it outside of Darujistan?
No, I think you're right. He said by the Talon Mountains, right? Yeah, I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, because he made it over there to do his deal. And then, so yeah, he came a long way back.
Wow. Pigger could not pull her eyes from the man. He sat hunched over, on a chair that had yet to find a table, still clutching in his hands the small rag of tattered cloth on which something had been written. The alchemist had done all he could to return life to what had been a mostly destroyed, desiccated body, and Baruch's talents had been stretched to their limits. There was no doubt of that. She knew him, of course. They all did. They all knew as well where he had come from. He spoke not a word, had not since the resurrection. No physical flaw kept him from finding his voice, Baruch had insisted. The imperial historian had fallen silent. No one knew why. Duiker reappears. To have the final scene of the book give us that character back. This closes out the plotline of the bottle on his neck shattering, the one that was supposed to go to Coltane, but Coltane refused it. Last we saw, Stormy, Gessler, and Truth had come to retrieve Duiker's crucified body on Aaron Way.
Wow. I love how you brought them back, dude. That's awesome.
As I was editing last week's episode, this thought did come to me. We were talking about how Coltane had seemed so far away from us in that book, whereas we got to know Whiskey Jack a lot better and some of the other characters a lot better in this book that had died.
Yeah.
We knew Duiker, and I was thinking about that. I was like, his death really did impact us severely as well, because we lived the Chain of Dogs through his viewpoint. In the moment we forgot about Duiker, I thought it would be good for me to mention that this week, because he is a major character, and I forgot about that.
Well, I think you and I have discussed this before in asking, if this is spoilery, I'll just give you a second to pause, but do we presume, I think you've stated this, that he is the teller of the Books of the Fallen?
I don't know where that's actually ever confirmed in the books. I've read that elsewhere online, but I don't remember a time where that's actually confirmed.
I don't either.
Picker sighed. The grand opening of Cruel's bar was a disaster. Tables waited, empty, forlorn in the massive main chamber. Perrin, Spindle, Blend, Ansi, Mallet, and Blue Pearl sat at the one nearest the blazing hearth, barely managing a word among them. Nearby was the only other occupied table, at which sat Krupp, Murillo, and Call. Picker thought, and that's it. Gods, we're finished. We should never have listened to Ansi. Why would you listen to Ansi? That's a questionable decision immediately.
Okay, that explains why they bought this bar. Okay, this is why they bought the temple. I didn't realize that they left it up to Ansi. But why would Ansi pick it? This place would make him just creeped out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he's pretty uptight already and superstitious, so maybe the price was too good, and that means more to him than a perpetual life of being freaked out.
That could be. It's kind of funny because I'm like you. For some reason, when we said it just a minute ago, I was thinking maybe I didn't think they necessarily really wanted it to make it. You know,
Yeah, I mean, that's a very feasible motive right there, to be honest with you.
They're pretty bummed out. It's just like, this guy, the grand opening was a disaster. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I did not know that you were expecting it to not be a disaster.
Yeah.
Now, you give this place like 30 years, and you get some of the young kids coming through, like, whatever. You know, they'll be happy to drink at a haunted bar. But, you know, this first generation is not going to be too keen to go drink at the haunted bar.
True.
Go get a selfie with that specter over there.
The front door swung open. Pigger looked over hopefully, but it was only Baruch. The High Alchemist paused within the antechamber, then slowly made his way forward to where the other Daru sat. Krupp said, "Dearest friend of Honorable Krupp, Baruch, stalwart champion of Darujistan, could you ask for better company this night? Here, yes, at the very table." Krupp was astonishing his companions, and indeed, these grim-faced ex-soldiers next to us, with his extraordinary account of Krupp and this tavern's namesake, conspiring to fashion a new world. As he approached, Baruch asked, "Is the tale done then?" Krupp said, "Just, but Krupp would be delighted to." Baruch cut in, "Excellent. I'll hear it some other time, I suppose." Another man who gets to the point.
I need to remember that wording. So when I walk in on these stories like that, excellent, I'll hear it again later. It's like I can just walk off from these stories.
The High Alchemist glanced over at Duiker, but the Imperial Historian had not so much as even looked up. Head still bowed, eyes fixed on the cloth in his hands. That cloth. It's the cloth that Duiker's female marine companion gave him, isn't it?
Yes.
Man.
And I didn't catch that until you said it. And I only knew this because I had pre-read and did my notes. When you saw the writing on the cloth, I'm like, I wouldn't have caught that either. But that was it. That was it because it's got her name on that cloth.
Yeah. I remember when she gave that to him, that was a really tough moment.
Dude, I'll tell you, I think we covered this last week or two. I said something about the thing where Deadhouse Gates does you different is that I wasn't saddened by so many losses. I was pissed off. I was just pissed off. You know, here, these are some names that we've been around a little bit, and to lose some of this one was more sad to me in some cases. And especially it's sad now, though, there's only 5 bridge burners left.
Yeah. Baruch sighed and asked, "Picker, have you mulled wine?" Picker said, "Aye, sir, behind you, beside the hearth." That's some service right there. They're going to get real far with that level of service.
Yeah, unless they're going for the self-serve bar image here, you know.
Millennia ahead of their time.
Yes.
Ancy reached for the clay jug and rose to pour Baruch a cup. As she walked over, in a loud voice, Picker said, "All right, so this is it. Fine. The fire's warm enough. We've drunk enough. And I, for one, am ready for some stories to be told. No, not you, Krupp. We've heard yours. Now, Baruch here, and Call and Murillo, for that matter, might be interested in the tale of the final taking of Coral." Call slowly leaned forward and said, "So, you'll finally talk, will you? It's about time, Picker." She said, "Not me, not to start anyway. Captain, refill your cup, sir, and weave us a tale." Perrin grimaced, then shook his head and said, "I'd like to, Picker." Spindle grumbled, "Too close," nodding and turning away. Picker said, "Hood's breath! What a miserable bunch!" Spindle snapped, "Sure, a story to break our hearts all over again. What's the value in that?" A rough, broken voice replied, "There is value." Everyone fell silent, turned to Duiker. The Imperial Historian had looked up, was studying them with dark eyes. He said, "Value, yes, I think, much value. But not yours, soldiers, not yet. Too soon for you. Too soon." Baruch murmured, Perhaps you are right in that. We ask too much." Duiker said, "Of them, yes." The old man looked down once more at the cloth in his hands. The silence stretched. Duiker made no move. Picker began to turn back to her companions, when the man began speaking. "Very well. Permit me, if you will, on this night, to break your hearts once more. This is the story of the Chain of Dogs, of Coltane of the Crow Clan, newly come fist to the 7th Army." And thus the book ends. What an ending.
Dude, what an ending. Wow. So blown away by Duiker starting to tell Deadhouse Gates to the gathered.
Yeah, I'm already a little shocked that he's back. And then to end like that, it brings back this wave of emotion from Deadhouse Gates, dude. I mean, it's like, oh, God.
What's so great is this ending really ties all 3 of the first 3 books together nicely. very well.
Yeah, it does. It feels like we're closing out Gardens of the Moon fully here.
Yeah. Strangely enough, yes. Very much. Strangely enough, yes.
Well, let's get to the standout moments. One final scene with Bacalane and Corball Brooch. They're in trouble when they meet up with the Bull brothers. I would love to see that.
Ooh. Oh, man. Yes, I like you would love to see this encounter. Because we know so little about both groups. It's such a hard call, but it would be nasty. Whatever it is, it'd be a nasty fight, and it'll be a long... It's deserving of its own title.
The 100-day battle.
Yeah.
They level a whole city. Some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing Gruntle and Anastra on the road to becoming friends, especially when Gruntle was ready to hate him.
That was totally cool, because I'm like you. It's like Gruntle was ready for Talk to be a jerk, and Talk is so totally cool. And then they're both like they're the same. They're both mortal swords of different. It's like not necessarily opposing deities. They're kind of like on the same level, I guess, to an extent. It's like, okay, let's go kind of see what this is about. And I like that they kind of talk shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder, do they have to be rivals?
No, I don't think so. Unless they're...
There can only be one god of war.
Yeah, unless their patron deities were after something that only one could possess.
Have the Malazan version of Thunderdome.
Right? The Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Problem with that is you might wipe out the world in a Battle Royale in that universe.
There'd have to be some type of sorceress arena or something.
A pocket dimension in which they could do this in. Some Warren or something, yeah.
Yeah. Quick Ben getting promoted to High Mage, likely against his wishes.
Oh, it's against his wishes, man.
Mm-hmm.
His whole thing has been lying in the shadows and being this super powerful mage that no one knows about except for the bridge burners. Everyone else doesn't know that they've got this 12 times over high mage hanging out in their group,
Uh-huh. The 5 remaining bridge burners getting a well-earned retirement, then squandering half of it by listening to Ansi and Cruel's Belfry and the Temple.
And the Temple. I'm glad they're kind of out of the game and they maybe can catch a break here in Darijistan, but we'll see about that. But it's just too funny that they've lost all that money. I feel kind of bad for them. These guys are usually, I thought they'd be savvy enough to not just go, Ansi knows what he's talking about with this one. It's like, dude, they second guess everything everyone does. How did this get bought without them second quadruple guessing each other all the time, man?
It made sense in the moment. It was a good deal.
It was a good deal. They must have been paid. No, they gave half their money. So,
and then further to add to the bridge burners getting their retirement, finding out that Duiker lives and the bridge burners are getting him back on his feet. That was great to see.
Dude. Yeah. Very awesome. Totally awesome reveal.
That took me by surprise.
Yeah, it did. It takes me completely by surprise. I love it.
I thought that happened in a later book, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting it in the epilogue of this book.
I'm with you on that. I felt the same. I forgot it was this book.
Perrin finally earning the respect he needed from the bridge burners and being included among their number. That was incredible.
Dude, that is really cool. And for us, quite a long time getting there. Almost 3 years getting there. It's great, man.
Yeah. The mystery of Tool returning to a physical body. And then separately, his encounter with Talk was heartwarming. That's some good closure for Tool.
I too want to know more. I'm assuming that he got returned to his body when everything got all hunky-dory in the new Talan Warren, or wherever their memories of ice are now residing. Sorry, I had to drop that in there.
The Chubby Rain.
Yes, the Chubby Rain. But I did like seeing his encounter with Talk was very heartwarming. It's great closure for Tool, but I really wanted Talk to... I don't think Talk doesn't seem to miss this closure that we think he does. Seems to be missing, but at least Tool got that. So we're happy for that. I'm happy for that.
Yeah, it was a little bittersweet. Would have liked to see Talk reunited with his brother.
Yeah.
Perrin and Raced becoming roommates in the Azath house in Darijistan. That's going to be interesting.
Now, what a terrible roommate. I have in my brain, I can see the new Bosom Buddies reboot advertisement in my head. You know which one that was, right? Where the guys, yeah, I actually tried this in AI with a video. And I said, have 2 roommates, one a man and one a demonic type of entity. And it started to do it did a little video. It showed them, it's a man and a demon standing in an apartment, lighting a fire on something.
Okay.
It's what you get when it's AI, man. What do you want? It's weird. It's like,
Seeing Vorkin and Ralik Nam still in the entrance. Want to know what's going to happen with them as well. What's Perrin going to decide to do with them?
Yeah, well, he's going to have to sweep around them for the time being.
Someone's going to have to do some cleaning in there. I don't know if they offer cleaning crews that'll come in today's for Perrin.
Oh, that'd be too funny if they did.
Finally, the book closing out with Duiker telling the tale of Coltane and the Chain of Dogs. I gotta be honest with you, man. It felt like we were ending that book yesterday when he started talking about it. Just felt a wave of all of that from that book.
Yeah. For some reason, I'm like you. It's like, it's a core memory, but I thought it was in another book.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was the very, very end of this book. Because, first off, let's just face it. A lot of stuff happened in this book.
Yes.
It's just been a very intense book. So I'm like, wow. But yeah, it's just like, but to end it like that, it's like, it's so overwhelming in such a great way. And like I said, it really just ties, like if you were having any trouble seeing any ties together within the universe, this really ties those first 3 books up together as one story to me almost. It really does.
Nice. All right. Great job tonight, Billy.
Oh, yeah, man. Great episode, brother. Great episode.
You got any final thoughts before we drop off here?
Yeah. I just can't believe that we're at the end of that book. What an amazing book. I can see why so many Malazan fans say this is their favorite. It may be, but my problem is, like I think I've stated in the past with you, is that because thanks to you turning me onto this series after it was done, I had no delay. I moved from book to book to book as one book. And so I have such a hard time separating. But right now, though, it's such an amazing book. Right now, at least through this read through, this is my favorite one so far, man. Great book.
Every time we're talking about it, every book is your favorite at the moment you're reading it.
It is. They're all my favorite book at the moment I'm reading it. They are, no doubt.
All right. We are going to do a recap episode next week. And then the following week will be the kickoff for House of Chains. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See y'all next week.
We thank you all for joining us today.
Again, we'd really like to thank you for taking the time to be with us, and we've had a really great time talking about the topic today.
If you would like to support our show, you can find us at horsefrogproductions.com, where you can find our Patreon link. Depending on the platform you're listening from, it may also be in the episode description.
And if you'd like to contact us through email, it's at contact@horsefrogproductions.com.